It's Viewpoints on the Talk Station FM 107.1. And joining us this afternoon, and I really appreciate him taking the time to make the effort to come into the studio, we have a congressional candidate for District 1. And by the way, for those of you who are going, what's District 1? That's the new district that we are going to be in. We're not in it yet, starting January 1 of next year. And we have a candidate, Republican candidate, Eric Rouse, here in the studio. And I want to welcome him to the program. He is seeking the nomination to run against the Democrat nominee for the position. Right now, that nominee looks like it's going to be Don Davis. But we have Eric Rouse joining us this afternoon. Eric, good afternoon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
A little bit closer to that.
Okay. I can get closer. That's not a problem.
Let's talk about Eric Rouse. I was talking to you off air a few moments ago. I said, this is not your first rodeo. You ran for what was originally District 3 to fill the unexpired term of Walter Jones. Gosh, is that...
It's been 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, that was a free for all. That one, there was 18. We got in a little late on that one. Made a good showing. We had a great commercial. So people still comment about it to this day.
I do remember.
So yeah.
All right. So let's talk. Who is Eric Rouse?
Well, I'm Eastern North Carolina, born and raised. You know, I'm a Christian. I'm a constitutional conservative. Like I said, I grew up in Eastern North Carolina.
Grew up in Kinston.
Right. That's correct. I went to East Carolina. It was my college. That's where I met my lovely wife of 28 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we've got two lovely kids. My daughter Anna, who I'm proud to say just graduated Chapel Hill. She went in conservative.
Couldn't get a good education, so you sent her to Chapel Hill.
Well, okay. she went in conservative, and she came out even more conservative. So I feel like that's a victory. My son's going to follow in my footsteps. He's going to go to East Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, attend the industrial technology school. I got a minor in my concentration, was in electronics. My minor was in business.
Okay.
After school, I moved back home, became a volunteer fireman, started, and then I got elected as a commissioner for Lenoir County. I've been a commissioner for 16 years now.
Whoa. Lenoir County is a fairly liberal county in politics. As a matter of fact, I think it's predominantly Democrat.
But it's been trending more Republican. We've got a Republican that's at large now.
Okay.
And the city's shrinking. The county's shrinking a little bit, but it's tending more red now. So
okay,
yeah,
I'm wondering about that. All right. Mm-hmm. So and Republican and what a pretty competitive county. Let's talk about, you bring up the issue of shrinking and the economy. And of course, I know that, and let's just address this issue very quickly. Lenoir County is not in District 1. It's in District 3, according to the new mapping, if I'm not mistaken.
It was when I signed up and did the commercial and announced that I was running. And then the state redrew it and drew me out, but we're still running. I mean, I've got a house in Carteret County. My family farms in Bertie County and Olander.
But I was going to say also, the individual you were looking to fill the position on, Walter B. Jones, when he ran initially, he lived, as I recall, maybe in Farmville or Winterville, but he did not live in District 3, but he was still able to run.
That's correct.
In the congressional races, you do not have to reside within the district.
That's correct. That's correct.
And
they typically will draw you in once.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, just in case.
But I'll be honest with you, I've got plenty of property in the district that are my homes. These are not rentals.
Okay.
These are my homes. I've got a place at Emerald Isle, and like I said, I've got a place in Olander in Bertie County.
Okay.
It's family farm. So,
why are you running?
Well, I didn't want to run. I got a call that this was before the district was redrawn, and I got a call, and basically they were looking for somebody to run against Don Davis. I said, no, I'm happy. I'm vice chair on a Democratic board here in Lenoir County.
Right.
So, I know how to work with people. And I said, I don't want to do it. I'm happy. And said, well, that's why we want you, is because you don't want to run. So it went on for 3 months. You don't want to be up here. It went on for 3 months. And they finally said, they being the White House, they were like, why don't you come up here and spend a couple of days with us? So I was tickled. I was like, well, I'm going to get to meet Vance and Trump. And I was pumped. I was like, off I go. No. You don't get to meet them this time. So what I ended up doing was spending 2 days. I met with just about everybody but those two. Good political run, and got back home, and I finally made up my mind. I said, okay, well, I'll do it. I felt like I could beat Don. He's not going to be easy, Mark. I mean,
right.
he's that's just obvious. Don's very well liked, but I felt like I could take him, especially when growing up in Eastern North Carolina, the people I know, the connections I've got. So off I went and jumped in the race.
All right, let's talk about your perception of the job as congressman. Where do you see your purpose and intentions?
Well, we need somebody to represent Eastern North Carolina. I mean, like we were talking on the break before we started on air. Agriculture is one of the largest. Well, it is the largest in
North Carolina.
Yes,
economy.
that's correct. Of the 25 counties, there's over 4,000 farms tending 2 million acres. And that's producing $3 billion of ag annually. And tobacco's not dead. Tobacco's still $200 million. The state only does $300 million. So $200 million of that is in the 25 counties in Eastern North Carolina.
Wow.
So yeah, tobacco's still huge. And so we're going to need somebody that understands ag. I grew up farming. It was a lot of fun. Taught me a lot. You can clear your head while you're tending a row.
You can, and you get plenty of time to thinking.
Exactly. But we're going to need somebody who can go up there and get on the ag committee, get on the House Ag Committee, and then develop relationships with the chairman and the various members of that committee, which is what I do. Like I said, I'm good with working with people. I'm vice chair on a Democratic board. I did that through, the way I took this attitude. You might not like what I'm saying, but you appreciate the honesty. I told them this is the way I'm going to vote, and this is why. And that got me to vice chair. And now I'm in control of what's going on and doing the planning for our meetings and everything. So I got in a position of leadership. And you do that through getting to know the people you're working with and developing a relationship. And that's how I got there. And that's what we're going to need in Washington, is someone who's going to represent our ag society community up there. And then the other thing that's real huge in the district is we have the largest employer in North Carolina is right here at the depot at Cherry Point.
Right.
Over 3,600 employees. I'm a big fan of the military. I'm a pilot myself. I was not a military pilot. Let me make sure I don't say it come out wrong. But I am a pilot myself. I have a bunch of friends that are military pilots that fly. I have one that ejected and got in a little accident just a couple of years ago down here at Cherry Point. But Cherry Point has been neglected. As a depot, the new stuff gets all the bells and whistles, and then they're like, well, you just take care of it. We've got old hangars there from World War II. It needs to be updated for the modern fighters, the F-35 and things like that. So we've got to have somebody who's also going to try and get on that committee and represent that and increase the spending that's going on at Cherry Point, because that's how the United States goes to war.
Right.
So
you mentioned Cherry Point, the depot, and of course Lenoir County, the Global Trans Park.
Yeah.
And portion of the depot's activities have grown to such a degree that they're using portions of the Global Trans Park.
That's correct, but they're also building, it's FRC East.
Yes,
and
FRC
they're
East.
Building hangars as fast as they can out there, and they're massive hangars, and it's going to be a good program.
Yep.
They're not burdened like you are trying to get on base. It's easy to get on and off. We've got one of the largest runways on the eastern seaboard.
Yep.
I love it. The first time I flew by myself.
You had plenty of place to land.
Yeah, I looked down at that. I was like, wow, that looks normal. And then I went to this other smaller airport, and I was like, how in the world am I going to get this little plane down on that? But yeah, excuse me. But no, it's a fantastic airport. It's underutilized.
Right.
It is growing. I think a lot of naysayers and all that have been proven wrong. and it is growing. And there's plans down the road for a second parallel runway.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot going on.
We're talking with Eric Rouse, and he is candidate, as I said at the opening, for U.S. House. He's running
correct.
for District 1, the new district, which takes position January of 2027, interestingly enough. And he is one of, I've lost count, 5 candidates, right? That's right.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's talk here for a moment about the reception of your efforts. And I'm going to not mention any names, but one candidate particularly has been charged with seeing a lot of support from outside the state. What about your support? I'm assuming your support is coming from your connections in North Carolina?
That's correct. My connections, my fundraising, and everything's coming from right here in Eastern North Carolina. I mean, this is my district. I was born here, raised here, married here, still live here. You know, and that's one of the other reasons I'm running. I want to make sure that we have jobs, and more of them, and better paying jobs for our kids, so they don't have to move away when they graduate high school, college, their trade school.
With about a minute and a half to go, you've seen the changes in Eastern North Carolina. Are these changes, in your opinion, sustainable, and are they positive?
You know, now I'm not sure which changes you're talking about specifically.
Economically, we've seen the growth of well, we've mentioned the FRC East.
Okay, those change. All right, yes, they are sustainable, and that's the way, like I said, FRC East. That's the way we go to war. We're part of that triangle. Farming's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Farming, agriculture, and you know we've got to make sure that agriculture is sustainable, and because it's not only important for us as a food source, but it's the nation's food source. Mm-hmm. It's a security issue. So we got to maintain our farming relationship in Washington. We need somebody on the Ag Committee.
I want to thank our guest and appreciate his time. We're talking with we put the call out to all the congressional candidates. This is for District 1. We have joining us this afternoon Eric Rouse. He is a candidate for District 1, and I appreciate it. Real quickly, Eric, if anybody's wanting to get information on you, website.
Well, remember, it's ericrouse.com, but remember, you can't spell America without Eric, so vote Rouse for the House.
Okay, thank you very much. Eric Rouse with us this afternoon here on Viewpoints. We're going to wrap it up in just a moment. I've got just a few seconds left before things wrap up. Stay with us.